All right, here she is. Everything's been reassembled and we are looking good. So, yeah, I've got a little bit of a lamp matrix column issue, but outside of that, man, this thing has got some shine to it. So you can actually see the reflection back off the back glass. Really came out very, very well. So one thing I showed earlier in my video, just open the coin door, not take the keys out. One thing I showed is the ball actually rolling on the old surface and just comparing that quickly to the new surface. So let me just pop a ball. So here's the ball. Here's my test from last time. If you remember, when I rolled over these inserts, you could actually hear that the sound of them, but now it's it is quiet as can be. Also, thanks to Vid on Pinside, because I did end up waxing this as well, and it made quite the difference. So, it is fantastic. Let's play a game, see what it looks like. Focus. There we go. One-handed.
Close airlock. Ready, pilot one.
Whoa. The ball is absolutely much faster than it used to be.
Close airlock.
If I could throw it, it would be even better. So there we go. A much better.
Ready, pilot one.
You're gonna see on my hot dogs, I'm gonna just turn this off. So you can see on my hot dogs, if you remember, I had the one here that was pretty mangled. It's going to be almost impossible to see, but there really isn't any ridge from this here. You know, and I think the hot dog itself, as you can still see some imperfections, you know, from those cracks in the hot dog, it definitely does not show as much once the hardtop is on as well. A couple other things. The USA, if you remember my original video, how you could really still see the old paint. You can see all that's gone now. These look really awesome up here. Really stand out. Rebuilt my pop bumpers, which makes a huge difference as well. But yeah, everything looks great. I mean, all my inserts look like they've lined up very, very well. I mean, this thing is, I mean, it's slick as can be. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Couple of things just to wrap up here on my video and then on this beta test is, some final thoughts that I have is, once you apply the hardtop, which I think is kind of the most difficult thing to do, is getting it lined up and getting it applied, at least in terms of trying to get it locked in correctly. But the one thing that's really important to note is that once you get it installed, you are going to have some places where you may have to do some slight drilling to make a hole to fit a little bit better. So, for example, on these larger posts here that hold the tapered the taper posts, these obviously have a pretty decent size in terms of a lock nut underneath. So some of these, because of the hardtop not lining up appropriately, I did have to use a drill bit to kind of widen these holes a little bit right underneath this post. The drill bit that I used, let me just jump down here and see what... I was using a 3/32 drill bit to kind of widen the holes. It wouldn't take much to widen a hole, but it was something that I ran across. So from a reassembly standpoint, the one thing that I would say is definitely don't be in a rush. Reassembly always takes longer than disassembly anyway, but don't be in a rush and make sure that your holes and whatnot are lining up appropriately. A couple things I know that Outside Edge we had chatted about online is there was something like, I think this wood rail did not have any holes cut out since I'm running a beta test on the product. That's been fixed. But what I didn't notice is when I was putting this wood rail on from the bottom of the playfield, I noticed that this was starting to pucker up top because basically the wood screw coming through, there was no hole here, and it was actually pushing and it actually just popped a hole through it. So just be careful when you start to feel any resistance or you start to hear that sticky kind of snap and pop. Take the time, stop, take the piece back off, redo it, get the hole drilled, and it'll be much, much smoother to do. So if you remember, again, from my first video to today, the playfield, I don't know if you hadn't necessarily seen the process, you would know that it's probably not a reproduction playfield, but to the average person and to probably 75-80% of the community that play pinball, you would never know that from this. This looks like a two-part automotive cleared playfield from either a reproduction or a new old stock. So, it's nice. I'm very pleased, and I think that when my friends come over to play, they're not going to be as picky about the weird ball action from the old sticker overlay. So that's going to do it for me. If you have any questions about the process, just leave them below in the thread, and we'll go from there. Big thanks to Outside Edge for letting me test this product. I hope I gave him some good feedback, not only in this thread, but in some private communication. And yeah, we'll go from there. Thanks, everyone.